Pranams everyone. We are in chapter 4, Sloka number 18. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Karmanyah Karmayah Pashyed Akarmani cha Karmayah Sabuddhiman Manushyeshu Sayukta Kritsna Karma Krit. So as I said, mentioned in the last class, this is a very important shloka, and it is a concept that Bhagavan had already given in the second chapter earlier, and that is Ātma is akarta, abhokta. Ātma is actionless. To understand this is Jnana Karma Sannyasam. If we understand this, it is Jnana Karma Sannyasam, and that is this chapter's topic as well, that chapter's title as well. So this is the key shloka of this chapter. This is the key shloka of the entire, one of the key shlokas in the entire Bhagavad Gita also. The question is, why is Bhagavan giving this again? He has already given in the second chapter, because it is an important concept and it is easy to forget. It could be easy to understand, but it is very difficult to retain. So in this class, I am going to only cover this shloka. So there will be a lot of times I will be repeating myself. So you will have to bear with me. The idea is to actually ensure that this gets into our subconscious mind as quickly and as deeply as possible. And some of the things could be a little bit confusing. If it is confusing, and if you want some clarity, raise your hand and we will stop it then and there to clarify for this class. Or if you're okay, you note it down and we can take it up at the end of the class. It's better to do it at the end of the class so that others will get the flow. So if you have any doubts, please note it down and we'll take it up in the end of the class. So what does the sloka say? Karmanyah karmayah pashyet akarmani cha karmayah. Yah pashyet. Yah pashyet means who sees. Who sees what? Akarma. Karmanya akarma yah pashyet. So, who sees actionlessness in action? Karmanya akarma yah pashyet. Then the second part is akarmani cha karma yah. Sa yah, and he who sees karma akarmani, action in inaction. And he who sees action in the inaction. And in the second line, Bhagavan says, Sa buddhiman, he is wise. Others are all fools. He is the only wise guy. Among who? Manushyeshu, among the human beings, among men, among human beings. And not only that, Saha yuktaha, he is a brahmanishta. He is a jnani. He is a jivan mukti. He is a jivan mukta. And he is kritsna karma krit. He has accomplished everything. So these are the benefits of seeing action in inaction and inaction in action. As I said in the last class also, Bhagavan seems to be giving some contradictory upadesha. Seeing actionless in action, action in inaction. So does he want to sort of confuse us? No, it is not the case. Why does Bhagavan speak in contradictory terms? We had to justify that. And for that, we have to understand there are three types of upadesha, or three types of understanding, and for each one there is a different way to provide that knowledge. So in the case of something we already know, in the case of something we already know, then Upadesha becomes irrelevant. There is no need for Upadesha. So Shastra says, Grahita Vishaye Upadeshyasya Anarthagyam. On things that we have a correct understanding, it need not be explained at all. There is no need to explain. On things that we have no understanding at all, then a direct knowledge or a direct explanation is good enough. Agrahana Vishaye Sakshat Upadeshaha. Things on which we have no understanding, it can be explained directly. But in the case of vipareetha grahanam, things on which we have a wrong understanding, contrary understanding, now that cannot be, we cannot say, I don't need to give you Upadesha, an Upadesha has to be given, but a Sakshat Upadesha is also not possible, a direct answer is also not possible. For that, it has to be explained in a vipareetha manner only. So we will take an example. As I said, first we will take an example, and then we will try to understand the example, and once you understand the example, to apply it in the concept of Vedanta will be easy. So what is the example? Say when we were at a very young age, we would have traveled, or even now, when we would have traveled in a bus or train. And at that time, when we see from the window, what do we see? Sometimes we see as if the trees, when you are traveling in a train, especially when we see the trees seems to be moving in the opposite direction. So we see, or in a stationary train, or in the train is moving, the other train which is going on the opposite side, even if it is stopped, even if it is actually stationary, we would think as if the other train is actually moving. So we will see action or movement in a place where there is no action at all. So we see action or movement in inaction. Here in this sloka, Shankaracharya gives the example of a boat. I gave the example of train. So we'll take the example of a train. So a small boy, say for example, a small boy and his father are traveling in a train, and the boy says to the father, and he says, the tree is moving. There are lots of trees there. He says, the tree is moving. Now the father knows that it is not the case, that the trees are actually at the same place. So what happens here, in the non-moving trees, in the trees that are not moving, the boy sees movement, and he tells his father that the tree is moving. And suppose the father says, the tree is not moving. Now what will happen is, it could be that the boy could be searching for another tree that is not moving and stationary. So the boy will think, okay, this tree that I am seeing is moving. Probably father says about another tree that is not moving and it is stationary. Now there could be a communication gap if the answer is in that format. Wherever there is a vipareetha darshanam, if we try to give direct knowledge, the vipareetha darshanam stays with that person. That person will be looking elsewhere for that knowledge. So in this case of this boy and father, how should the father convey this knowledge to the boy? So what he should do, first the father should take upon the vipareetha grahanam himself. He should first take it upon himself to make sure that both the visions are aligned, and then give the knowledge. So in this case, what should be the upadesha or the from the father? The father should say, the moving tree is not moving. The moving trees are not moving. So that the boy will now understand. So when the father says the moving trees, are they moving for him? No. He clearly knows that the trees are not moving. But why does he say that? So that he is able to explain from the boy's standpoint. So that when he says the moving trees are not moving, see the non-movement in the moving objects. That is the actual upadesha that we are trying to convey here to the sloka. See the non-movement in the moving objects. When the upadesha comes up like that, the boy will not be trying to locate another object which is not moving. So if a person has vipareetha grahanam, as in contrary understanding, the upadesha must also be in the form of a contradicting statement. The unwinding must happen in the same manner, but only thing, it has to happen in the opposite direction. So here the boy has kept a contrary, opposite understanding. That is, he is seeing an object to be moving that is not moving. So what should be the right way? See the non-movement in the moving trees. That is the right way to teach. So this explains why Bhagavan uses a contradictory statement. He says, karmanya akarmaya pashyet. See inaction in action. Similarly, akarmani karma pashyet. See action in inaction. So this is why we have to use this, Bhagavan had to use these contradictory terms. This is the same example that we will give for the usual Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta example, the snake and the rope. Suppose the person says that is a snake. The guru comes and says, that's a rope, or there is a snake, there is a rope. Then what happens? The Shishya will start looking for a rope other than what he sees as a snake. So what the guru has to say? The snake is actually a rope. So he has to bring his vision aligned to what the Shishya has, and then explain what should be the right knowledge. And that is what Bhagavan does here. So this is for explaining. So this example we can apply later on. So in a train we are going, we are seeing that the trees are moving. That is kind of visible, or it is kind of, that is the perception that we get. But is that perception true? No, it is not true. We know it, and therefore we are able to identify that we have to see the non-movement in the moving trees. So this understanding we have it, we will have to apply this in Vedanta. So the perception can be different, the truth is something else, or the truth is contrary. Same example, let's say I take another example, we will say the boy and the father are on a shore and they see ships at a distance, and the ships are moving slowly. But from the shore, because it is so far away, it will seem as if the ships are stationary. Say, if the boy says to the father, the ship is stationary. Again, and if the father says the ship is moving, the boy will start searching for the ship which is moving. But only the father is able to see that inaction in action. So how does he need to explain? He will have to say, the stationary ship is moving. Or he has to say, see the movement in the non-moving ship. So by saying non-moving ship or the stationary ship, the father gets the drishti of the boy. In the same way, the guru first gets the standpoint of Shishya and then gives the correct knowledge. The snake is actually a rope. First get the drishti of the Shishya, then give the correct knowledge. And these kind of examples where we perceive that there is some action but there is no action in it, or we don't see any action but there is action in it, is very common. We have a lot of examples we can give. Suppose if you are on a flight and it's a smooth flight, then it will look as if the flight is stationary, actually, even when it is actually moving. So there is this perception that we get need not be always right. So in all these cases, whether it's a train moving from, when seen from inside the train, the train that is moving on the opposite direction, or the ship being stationary when seen from the shore, or the tree seem to be moving when we are in the train, what we need to understand is the boy's experience, it is not wrong at all. The experience wise, it is the correct way of representation. The teaching is also right. The contradiction that we have to give is also right. But because the experience is wrong, because of the wrong understanding based on the experience, because the initial understanding itself is a contradiction, a contradictory statement is necessary to remove the wrong understanding and give the correct knowledge. So that is what Bhagavan has employed here. Now, what is the wrong understanding that we have got? That Bhagavan had to use these contradictory statements. That is what we will see now. Now, there are two tattvas, we know that. What are those two tattvas? One is Ātma, the other is Anatma. Ātma is Jnana Swarupa, you can say Jnana Swarupa, knowledge. Sat Swarupa, existence principle. And it's Nitya Swarupa, it's eternal. And it is Drig, means the seer. Now when I say Ātma here, Anatma here, please do not take this particular session as if it is some third person knowledge or a third party knowledge. When I am talking about Ātma, you replace it with self, I. Whenever I am saying Ātma, you have to replace or think through as if you are talking about ourselves, the self. Otherwise, we may initially understand, but to apply it on ourselves will be very difficult afterwards. So this Ātma is, the self is Jnana Swarupa, Sat Swarupa, Nitya Swarupa, it's Drig. And the entire world, the whole world, the entire Jagat is Anatma. Entire world includes our body. This Stula Sharira, the Sukshma Sharira, this Karana Sharira are all Anatma. And Anatma is Jada Tattva. It is Anityam. And it is Drishyam. It is something that can be experienced. Now we have got a vipareetha jnana about these two. From when did we get this vipareetha jnana? Anadi. Every birth we have this vipareetha jnana until now. Until we are able to get this jnana now. So far we have all had this vipareetha jnana. It's from Anadi Kala. What is that vipareetha? When I say I, we initially take it to be the conscious being. I am talking about myself, self. Now, the activity or the chalanam, the activity is actually being performed by the body. The sthula sharira or the sukshma sharira. The body and the mind are involved in action. When I say I walk, I eat, I talk, it's the body. I say I am happy, I am sad, I am excited. The mind is doing those actions. So now this jiva has this vipareetha jnana or vipareetha understanding that the action of the body and mind are taken to be the action of the self or the Ātma. So we say, I am seeing, I am talking, I am thinking. But how is the body and mind able to do that? It is borrowing the consciousness principle from the Ātma and is able to do those actions. By nature, they are jadam. They are inert. But because they are able to borrow the consciousness principle, they are able to do these actions. But actions are not performed by the Ātma. Actions are performed by the body and mind. So if I consider the I to be the self, Ātma, then I cannot say that I am seeing, I am talking, I am thinking. Because in reality, Ātma cannot see, Ātma cannot talk, Ātma cannot think. Who does all these things? The body. So what we do when I say I am seeing, I am talking and all those things, the body's actions are superimposed on the Ātma. We impose as if the actions of the body on the Ātma, and therefore we say this inactive Ātma is supposedly or being seen in action. So we take that the Ātma, which is all pervading, immovable, to be seeing, walking, thinking. It is immovable, and yet we say we are walking. It is walking. Just in the same way as the boy sees that stationary tree to be moving. So our understanding of Ātma is wrong. Taking it to be in action when it is never in action. So before this Upadesha, what happens? This jiva has wrongly understood that the actions that the body's karma, the actions that the body performs are to be the Ātma's karma of the Ātma. Now Bhagavan wants to convey to us, look, that the actions you see in self, as in the I, the Ātma, are not the actions of the self. But what do? We keep saying, I did this, I want to do that. And this is how it has to be explained. If Bhagavan had said Ātma is not in action, then we will think, okay, I am in action, but there is another Atma which is not in action. So Bhagavan wants to make it clear that he is talking about the same one that we consider it to be in action. And he wants to make it clear that that Atma, that one, is never in action. So the action that the self supposedly does, the one which we claim as I am doing, is to be seen, or the Atma has to be seen as the one which is never in action. That is what karmanya akarma pashyet. Karmanya means the vipareetha buddhi that we have, the one we think, we take it to be acting. We have to see what? Akarma pashyet. We have to see that inaction in it. Now, while listening to this, there could be some little bit boring, and also see what is the purpose of actually knowing all these things. We will see the benefits soon. And once we understand the benefits, we will say, okay, maybe I should have listened to this better. Or we can always listen to this again. But the benefits of understanding this are just too good, too many. So even if it is boring, please understand, try to understand this. So we have to see the inaction in Atma. So that Atma, which you take it to be the one seen as acting, is not in action. So in this karmanya karmaya pashyet, we have to prefix or attach that Atma word there. In Atma, so in the case of Atma, karmanya akarma pashyet. See inaction in the seeming actions of Atma. So when we say this could be either easy or too difficult to understand. If it is easy, means it can be easily forgotten also. And therefore we need to listen to this again and again. If difficult to understand, needless to say, we need to listen to this again and again. Either way, repeated Shravanam is required for this. The correct understanding is, for this case, is I am the Sakshi Chaitanyam Atma, and in my existence, me as the witness principle, the body and the mind perform the actions. That is the correct understanding we should have. And the essence of this line is Atma is actionless. Or in other words, I do not do any action at all. So where does the action happen? The action happens in the body, in the mind. How is the body and mind able to act? Because they are illumined by me. I give or they borrow the consciousness principle from me, and they are able to act. That is the first part of the first line. Now to the second part of the first line. Here Bhagavan's point of view is different. The first point you have to clearly understand. Atma is actionless, and we take the actions of the body and mind to be Atmas. That is a wrong understanding, and therefore karmanya akarma pashyet. That is different. Here it's slightly different. So understand that first part separately, and the second part, don't take it as as a corollary. Okay, it's not a corollary. Now we'll have to see akarmanicha karmayah pashyet. One who sees action in the inaction. Now here we saw that example of a ship that was moving, but when we looked from the shore, it seemed to be stationary. So in this case, akarmanicha karmayah pashyet. What is Bhagavan trying to say here? Let us see that. This is also an important portion. So there are times when the body and the mind take rest. At that time, what do we say? We say, I am not doing anything. I am not in action. I am not doing any action. But Bhagavan says, when the body and the mind are not in action, then too they are considered to be in action. Pravritti karma rupam, nivritti karma rupam. Now this is new knowledge. What Bhagavan says is, in the body's inaction, the body and mind seems to be rested, but you must see the action. One must see the action in it. So here when we are there in the first line, we attached Ātma. Here we'll have to attach body. In the body, sharirasya akarmani karma pashyet. See the action in the inactive body and mind. And how does Bhagavan wants us to see that? He says, though they seem to be resting for now, it will come back into action soon. And again we do this. Another mistake we do here is, when the body and mind are resting, we again superimpose that inaction of the body and the mind on ourselves and claim, I am not in action. Actually, in that we should see the action of the body. They are always karma swarupa. When it is moving, it is in action. When it is resting, then too it is an action. It is just moving from pravritti to nivritti, nivritti to pravritti. It is moving because of rajoguna. Therefore, it is said to be in action. It may be resting because of sattva-guna or tamoguna. That too is said to be in action. Resting is also an action. Pravritti is also an action. Nivritti is also an action. Taking up something is an action. Renouncing it is also an action. And not only that, what we do, we superimpose this inaction of body on the self. The self is never ever in action. So why do we need to say even that I am not in action? That itself is wrong. That is the upadesha of the second part. Now the upadesha part is done. Now we'll come to the benefits. What is the benefit of this knowledge? We will arrive at it through a series of sort of Q&A, question answers. Or first of all, what is the knowledge we have got? Okay, what is the knowledge we have got so far? I had thought that when the body and mind are resting, I thought I was not in action. Okay, but now I understood from Bhagavan, even that resting is also an action. Even when the body and mind is resting, it is also to be considered as an action. Okay. Now, before we go to the benefits, now let's see what are the misconceptions that we have. And let us see one by one all the misconceptions that we have so far, that we have gathered in our life so far. Generally, what is the cause for our sorrow? We generally think that we should renounce everything, that we should not have relationship with anything. We think that our sorrow's cause is because of all the relationship and all the responsibilities, and that we should not be doing anything. In our life, the responsibilities are the biggest burden. Every responsibility is seen as a problem. I mean, I would have been happy if there was no boss, if there was no problems in life, and all these problems are given by people around me, and therefore if there is no relationship, I'll be happy. If there is no responsibility for me, so some people say, when will you retire? Oh, only when my responsibilities are done, then I am settled, I'll be relaxed. Oh, then what do we say to him? Oh, you are so lucky, you can just eat and sleep. For me, I have so many responsibilities. That is the first misconception that we have. The cause for sorrow is our relationship and our responsibility. Then the second is, what is samsara we think? We think that being amid responsibilities and action is samsara. As long as I have to keep going to work, as long as I have to do this kitchen work, as long as I have to take care of my family, the elders in the family, the children, all these responsibilities is samsara. That is another misconception that we have. Then what do we take it as moksha? Moksha is when I can get into a state of akarma. When I have naishkarmya siddhi, I don't need to do any action. That is moksha. Why? Because what is peace we think? Peace is when there is silence. When we hear noise around us, we take it to be disturbing our peace. And peace is moksha. So if there is nobody around me, I am able to lie down, there is no action around me, I have no responsibilities, I am in a state of moksha. As long as I am with responsibilities and there is noise around, I am in samsara. And apart from that, there is also this feeling of thoughtlessness that comes in. Some people think that the presence of thoughts in mind itself is against mental peace. I am disturbed by my thoughts and therefore my mental peace is gone. And moksha for them, or they think moksha is when the mind is free from thoughts. Chitta vriddhi nirodha yogam, they say. So what is the net result here, or what is the biggest misconception here, is people, for peace, for mental peace, they relate it with the body, mind and situations. If the body is good, healthy, the mind is thoughtless, and there is no noise around, that for me is peace. And the problem there is, they think, or we think, that these can be brought into a state of inaction. That there will be always a healthy body, there will always be a mind which can be without any thoughts, and there will be always a situation or a place where there will be no noise around. This akarma siddhi, it is ignorance. They think that the body can be rested, brought into a state of inaction. The mind can be controlled into a state of thoughtlessness. The situations around me can be made quiet and serene. And if I am able to do all these things, then I am at rest. That is when I am in the state of moksha. And that is a misconception that certain yogis also do. The yogis think as long as the body is active, I am not at peace. And as long as there are thoughts in my mind, I am not at peace. And as long as there is a noise around me, I am not at peace. And therefore, they go into the meditation, where they restrict the body is made, they do not move the body, they control the mind, they bring the mind to a sort of a single thought, or try to get into a samadhi where there is thoughtlessness, and they do it at a place where there is no noise. But can this happen? Bhagavan says it cannot happen, because the body, the mind, the prapancha, this world, the situations are all karma swarupa. Even if they seem to be resting now, that is also karma swarupa. It is not that they are in a state of ever inactive. they will always come back to action. So what should be the correct understanding then? First of all, what is akarma swarupa? We have to understand I, the self, is akarma swarupa. I, the self, is akarma swarupa. So what should be the condition for my moksha then? The condition for my moksha is whether the body is in action or not, whether the mind is with thoughts or not, whether the situation outside is chaotic or not, or peaceful or not, all these are karma swarupa, and I am that Ātma, I am that akarma swarupa. So irrespective of how the body behaves, irrespective of what my mind thinks, irrespective of what the situation is, when this person has this knowledge, he attains moksha. So this person attains this jnana, whatever be the condition of the body, whatever condition of the situation, he will be at peace. He will be asanga. He will not be attached to the body, he will not be attached to the mind, he will not be attached to the situation. Only if I am attached, they can disturb my peace. If I am attached to the body, if the body is not behaving the way I want it to behave, I get sorrow. If the situation is not conducive to what I want, if the situation is not to my liking, I get sorrow. But if I understand I am not affected, I cannot be affected. The body can be affected, the mind can be affected. I am this Ātma, I am akarma swarupa, I am unattached to all these things, then my peace will not be affected at all. This is the most important point. Because if this point is not understood properly, only because this point is not understood properly, there have been many shastras that have come up. The shastras that within our Sanatana Dharma itself, there have been many shastras that have come up because this point is not clearly understood. In all the shastras, the dharma, the values that the shastras teach are not wrong. They have the same, but the philosophy is wrong. Now the question is peace dependent on body, mind and external things? For our peace, we will not be relying on the body, we will not be relying on the mind, we will not be relying on the external situations. So once we have this knowledge, we will not be disturbed by the body, we will not be disturbed by people, relations, situations, the possessions that we have or we don't have. Whether we are in a railway station where there is so much noise and smell and all these things, or whether we are in the banks of Ganga, it would be the same. Whether the mind is calm or the mind has got a slate of thoughts coming through, we will not get disturbed. Whether we are in an air-conditioned room or whether in a room without electricity, there will be discomfort, no doubt, for the body, but we will not be disturbed. There is a difference between discomfort and disturbance. Some people who are into meditation, they would have felt calmness in mind on a particular day. That's the problem with meditation and all. They say, okay, you go and meditate. That way you can calm your mind and that way you will feel happy. And when they go into a state of slight samadhi, where they have been able to control the mind, hold the mind, then they immediately think they have achieved what they needed to achieve. But that does not happen that way, because the very next day the mind can start climbing trees, as they say. The mind is like a monkey. It cannot stay in a place. Sometimes the mind may be calm, sometimes it cannot. That is the nature of the mind. In every situation, we should have this knowledge that I am independent. I am the witness principle. My peace is unconditional. That is the jnana, that is the moksha, that is the benefit. And what happens if you have this correct understanding? Or rather, what happens if we do not have the correct understanding? We will be searching for peace in the body. I will be happy once my body, that particular issue in the body is rectified. Only then I will be happy. Until then, I don't have moksha. I will be happy only if the mind is calm. So until then, I'll never get moksha. I am not in the state of moksha. I will not be looking for moksha. Or my moksha is dependent on my mind or situations. If we do that, we will never get it. We cannot get peace. So this is the benefit of seeing akarmanicha karmayah pashyet, one who sees action in the inaction. We should remember the ship example, and we should add that body in front of that akarmani. We should see action in this actionless body. And what is the benefit of karmanya akarmayah pashyet? One who sees action in inaction. We should remember the tree example. And there we should add Ātma in front of karmani. We should see that inaction in the seeming actions of Ātma. So this, I'll stop here and then I'll take some questions, and then we'll continue in the next class. Any questions? Yeah.
Guruji, this is a little bit of an advanced concept, right? More so in the Jnana Yoga realm, if I have to say this, right? Jnana Yoga, once you have the mental purity and all of the... So, but still as a, newbie in the spiritual path, like you rightly mentioned, sometimes meditation gives you, a good feeling. But there are other times then mind brings you back and you started associating yourself with all the problems of your life. And then you start feeling the sorrow, etc., right? So basically, in essence, are you saying that even as a newbie starting out, to achieve that mental purity through karma yoga and all of these things, reinforcing this mindset that, you are not you are the Ātma, you're not doing it. You are not personally involved in all of these things. Let the body and mind take care of its activities, do whatever is in the, so basically, in essence, we need to reinforce this thought process, right? That we are not the mind and body. Keep repeating it every day, day out. Will that help elevate? And at some point in time, we will be able to disassociate ourselves. The real self from the situational problems and all of it.
Okay, good question. So this particular, reinforcement, positive reinforcement or reinforcement, the straight answer to it is that will not alone give you jnana. Okay, that is one thing. But having said that, what are we trying to do here? I will come to it later. What we need to do is, of course, karma yoga, be able to do sort of these duties, irrespective of whether we like it or not, and not have this attachment on the results of the duties, and then try to proceed on those lines. Do this Panchamaha and do those things. That is what we have to do. But what helps by saying that I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not this situation, or the advantage or what we should be looking for here is, I should not bind my happiness, my satisfaction with these things. I should get detached from the body, I should get detached from the mind, I should get detached from the situations. That way, my relative mental peace will get better. As long as I am not saying that I will not get moksha until my situations around me is, there are two things that will help us by having this kind of reinforcement. One, people who think that, running away from all these situations will give me moksha rather than being in these situations, that is actually, this will help you to clear the doubt. That will not happen. That will not give you moksha. The second thing is, by sort of saying, whatever be the situation, I am actually Nitya Shuddha Ātma and my peace is not dependent on this. I will not be attached to certain situations. I will not be attached to certain relations, possessions and all those things. So in that way, my relative peace gets better. But will it give me the final benefit of what I want to seek in terms of actually owning up to that Atma? As long as we continue to do Kalpa Yoga, once we are able to get the Chitta Shuddhi, this knowledge just like that gets into our mind. It is just a question of a momentary awakening to the truth. Okay. So I hope I am able to explain that. Krishnanji, you have raised your hands. You are on mute in case you are talking.
Yeah, I was just not trying to put this with relation to Guruji to acceptance and surrender, because the basic is acceptance and surrender. If you talk about Ishwara Prasada or no Ishwar, whatever is done by Ishwar,
Ishwara Arpana.
you start accepting it.
Yeah.
Ishwara Arpana and Ishwara. Yeah. So then basically you are saying that, no, if you are able to accept and surrender to everything that is around you, to the Ishwara, that means you are able to live in the situation and detach yourself away from all this and be a Karam Yogi. Just do your duties and responsibilities to the best of your abilities and the facilities provided by Ishwara to everyone around you in terms of and then that helps you basically to detach yourself over a period of time. You detach yourself from everything and there is no attachment in that sense, except the duty that you do, and that helps you to move towards moksha or liberation that you are talking about. Yeah, if I am able to understand correctly.
Yeah, you are right. In the sense, once we actually start doing Karma Yoga, automatically this Viveka and Vairagya will come as our three things that will come in: Viveka, Vairagya, and Mumukshutvam. That is the palam of Karma Yoga. So the detachment comes out of Vairagya. So the Vairagya will help us to actually detach ourselves from all these things, whether it is body, mind, or the situations. So the correct way to get there is actually through Karma Yoga. But the more we are able to reinforce ourselves, saying that, okay, look, I am not this Atma, I am not this Anatma, my peace and happiness is not dependent on my body, my mind, the relations, the possessions that I have, the situations that I face. If I am able to reinforce that again and again, that also will help you to get that relative peace that we are looking for. That is the ultimate truth. We will not be able to see the truth yet, but we will be able to get some relative peace out of it. But you are right, that Karma Yoga, by doing Ishvara Arpana and Prasada Buddhi, automatically Vairagya will come in as a result of it. The detachment will come. Thank you. Ashaji?
Thanks, Guruji.
My question is related to your explanation just now. The first sentence should be taken with respect to Atma and the second with respect to the body. I mean, I'm wondering why it should be interpreted in that way. If, for instance, we relate both to the body and mind, because just understanding the Atma concept is difficult, right? So we are always associating the I with ourselves as the body and mind, and that is the vipareetha understanding, in my opinion. I don't know whether I'm right. So actions are always performed by the body and mind, and not by the Atma, like you rightly said. So I just feel that if we take this in that sense, then should it be interpreted differently? That means when we are doing the action, we know that the body and mind is doing the action, but we should not focus on that the body and mind is doing the action. We should just be disassociate ourselves from the body and mind. And when the body is at rest, we should not assume that the body is not doing anything. There is still some action in it. If we interpret it that way, would it be wrong from
No, it's okay. You can from an understanding standpoint, you can see that. But the first sentence was, we are trying to explain that karmanya akarma pashyet. So see inaction in action. So when we are saying see the inaction, we can only see the inactive Ātma there, and therefore we had to use Ātma here. But for your understanding, you are right. You can always see that when the body is doing the action, do not own up to that body. Instead of bringing the concept of Ātma there, you can say it's only the body and the mind which is doing the action, and that's it. With the moment you say I am not doing the action, that's where we bring in the Ātma. But that type of understanding, to help you understand better, if that helps, you can always take it up.
Okay. And how do we actually put this in action in our day-to-day lives? Like, the examples were good, but in day-to-day lives, because it's body and mind that is responding to the whatever is happening, the situation around us, we can. How do we put this into practice? I know it's very small baby steps that we have to take, but for example, if there's some people around us, or there's some noise, up to a certain extent, we can try to ignore it. We can try to keep ourselves calm. But after some point, telling ourselves, okay, this noise, telling ourselves that this action is or whatever response is nothing to do with our body and mind. I don't know how that will help us to overcome the situation. So is there a better way to approach this?
So
practically.
We got just 1 minute. I'm not sure whether we'll be able to give you the full answer on this one, but I'll pick it up from the next class. Maybe just keep note of it and put it in the group. We'll discuss in the next class.
Okay.
But you have given the answer yourself, but we will discuss this in the next class, if it's okay with you. The short answer is, go for situations first. Don't go to the body and mind immediately. Go for situations first. Say any situation, people, you ignore them, that as in that they are not going to affect me, that is not important for me. You try to detach yourself from the outside to the inside. Don't go for the body and mind detachment straight away. Go for the detachment at the periphery first, then slowly come inside. Okay, so probably we'll do that later. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Dev. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.